Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome everybody to the Village Board meeting, May 11th, 2021. Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. But prior to us starting, we have a Girl Scout troop here. We'd like to bring them up front, please, so they can assist us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Girls ready? All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Our next item to address for this evening is we have the administration of the oath to Trustee-elect Richard Chapman. Yeah, please.
You can go up front. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Richard Chapman, elected to the position of trustee for the village of Shorewood. Aforesaid, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, ordinances of the village of Shorewood, and I will faithfully discharge my duties of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
Hang on one second. And with that, we want to give a little presentation to Trustee Chapman on behalf of the Village of Shorewood. Deputy Clerk Dolney is going to give a little presentation.
We just wanted to have your gavel engraved for your 20 years of service and dedication to the village. A little memento of our thanks to you.
Thank you. Once we're going to give him a chance to get back to his seat, and then we're going to open the floor if he has any comments for everybody real quick. So. Trustee Chapman, I'm gladly open the floor to you if you have any comments. We did the same thing for anybody that was elected on the last meeting, and gladly do so for you as well.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little out of breath, okay? That was a long walk. Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the trustees that won their election. I'd like to congratulate the mayor for winning his, and to say that it was a very decent race that I witnessed. So I'm proud of all of you and the way you did it. I'd like to turn this 2 minutes into thanking all the people of Shorewood for trusting in me for 20 years to lead you over the last couple of decades. It was my honor, by all means, and it was the proudest that I've ever been in any job that I've undertaken. And I really appreciate that. But right now, I'd like to take 1 minute and make a presentation about stroke. Everyone needs to remember that a stroke comes on without any warning. And you need to remember 4 things. If your face droops or gets numb, if your arm goes dead, or if your speech starts to slur, time is of the essence. You need to call 911. You don't need to call a family member, and you don't need to mess around. So that acronym is FAST. Face, arm, speech, and time. You remember those 4 things, and it could save your life. And the ward that I was in, the people that had the same thing happen to them, many of them are still there. They haven't gotten out. They can't eat by themselves. They can't walk. It's the #1 killer in the United States. I really didn't know that. But I'd like to put that warning out, and I hope that people that listen to this tape take that. If they get nothing else out of this meeting tonight, because, we don't have much of a TV audience, but if you get nothing else out of that meeting tonight, please take that with you. That's my gift to you. God gave me the gift to be sitting here tonight. Believe me, I appreciate that. I expect to do things that man would expect any human being to do. Honor the people around him, respect the people around him, love his family. And with that, I'll say, my new seat feels very comfortable. A little lower than it should be. I would tend to somebody to help me out with that. Okay, not right now, but at any rate, thank you for, actually it's been 28 years on the board. I would say that's quite a career. So thank you very much. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, let's get to work, folks. Roll call, please.
Gold,
Here.
trustees Brockman,
Here.
Carroll,
Here.
Chapman,
Here.
Kirkland,
Here.
Luciano,
Here.
Lambert.
Here.
Thank you. Quick confirming, do we have anybody participating of staff members via electronic communication this evening? For the record,
John's here. John's here from the building department.
John from building, thank you. Okay. Are there any citizens that wish to address the board? Seeing none, we'll continue moving forward. Tonight's consent agenda. We are going to strike item number 1, please. Continuing forward, approval of accounts payable in the amount of $459,902.32. Approval of a payment in the amount of $55,176.15 to Cargill for de-icer salt. Approval of a payment in the amount of $14,311 to Grundfos CBS Incorporated for pumps and installation at the Fields of Shorewood Lift Station. Approval of an ordinance directing and authorizing the disposal of surplus property by the Village of Shorewood, and we're requesting to waive the second read on that item. Approval of a grant payment number 9 in the amount of $3,032.92 to Shorewood Cares Small Business Relief Program recipients. Are there any items that a board member wishes to discuss or have removed?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus number 1.
Second.
Motion Luciano, second Kirkland. Roll call, please.
Carroll. Chapman.
Here? Yes.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we do have a couple of proclamations for this evening. Our first one is for the National Police Week. National Police Week is May 9th through May 15th, 2021. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week. And whereas 394 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 294 officers who were killed during 2020, plus 99 officers who died in previous years, but whose stories of sacrifice have been lost to history until now. And whereas members of the Shorewood Police Department play an important role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of our community. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Clarence DeBold, call upon all citizens of Shorewood and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 9th through May 15th, 2021 as Police Week, and join in commemorating police officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established themselves an inviolable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of Shorewood to observe May 15th, 2021 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who have, through courageous deeds, have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of duty. Past this 11th day of May, 2021. Okay, one more proclamation. This one is to recognize our public works folks. We are getting ready, we're completing the Police Week, and we are going to be starting our Public Works Recognition Week. So, National Public Works Week, May 16th through the 23rd, 2021. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the Village of Shorewood. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the Village of Shorewood to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2021 marks the 61st annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now, therefore, I, Mayor Clarence C. DeBold, do hereby designate the week of May 16th through 22nd, 2021 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Village of Shorewood to be affixed on this 11th day of May, 2021. Okay. All right, we'll be moving on to our order of business. Item 1. Consideration for approval of the appointment of Dawn De Amani as a voting member for Section 6 to the Citizens Advisory Committee. This will be for a 2-year term. Chair Luciano, do you have any comments? I believe you said that she was unable to make it, correct?
Yeah, I was unable to notify Dawn in time before she had made plans for some other engagement that she's involved in. She wanted to be here tonight, but unfortunately, she was unable to make it. So if we ever have anything in the future with other members from the Citizen Advisory Committee, maybe at that time she could join them.
No problem. Otherwise, need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to appoint Dawn Domini as voting member for Section 6 to the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Second.
motion Luciano, second Kirkland. Roll call, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes.
Luciano,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 2, consideration for approval of reappointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission for 2-year terms. Committee members are David Goodale, Mike Kaminsky, and Ellen Kiowski. And I believe those 3 members are here. If you folks could stand by the microphone at the podium, please. I have a little bit of information I'd like to share with the board on these candidates. Mr. David Goodale has been a 25-year resident of the Village of Shorewood. He's been on the Planning and Zoning for the last 8 years. We do have Ellen Kiowski in the middle here. She's been a resident of the Village of Shorewood for the last 20 years. She's also been on the Planning and Zoning for the last 10 years. And to our right would be Mr. Mike Kaminsky. He's been a resident of the Village of Shorewood for the last 14 years. He's been on Planning and Zoning 2 years, and he's also on Citizens Advisory, which has been for the last 3 years. Trustee Brockman, is there any comments that you would like to share regarding the candidates?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to say that thank you for your service up to this point, and thank you for going another 2 years. We really appreciate your service, and we're to a very busy next 2 years. So, any other comments? If not, I will make a motion. Reappoint to Planning and Zoning Commission for 2 years, David Goodell, Mike Kaminsky, and Ellen Kiowski.
Second.
Motion Brockman, second Carroll. Roll call, please.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes.
Luciano,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. We greatly appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you.
If I can make, we had one other member that decided not to get reappointed, Bruce Durham. He's been on there for 3 years. So I just let everybody know, between the mayor and I, we have selected somebody else, and he will be here at the next meeting. So I will hand out a little resume about him at the end of the meeting, so if you have any questions, he should be at the next meeting for appointment for a 2-year term. So thanks again.
Sounds good. Thank you. Moving forward, business item number 3, consideration for approval of an ordinance granting a conditional use to operate a restaurant for 19735 Northeast Frontage Road in the village of Shorewood, Will County, Illinois. Pizza Ranch Restaurant. This one is up for a second read. Trustee Brockman and Director Chrissy.
Thank you again, Mayor. We looked at this project, well, now it's been over a month ago now, and we did hold a public hearing on it. No one spoke for or against it, and I think it come here with a 7-0 vote, if I'm not mistaken. And for the trustees that weren't at the last meeting, if you want to go through the particulars for us, please.
Thank you. Yes. So the project is located between the La Quinta, the recently completed and open La Quinta Hotel, and the Econo Lodge on Northeast Frontage Road. The property is owned by generally the same ownership as the La Quinta Hotel. It's under a different business name, but same ownership. In terms of the restaurant, it features buffet style, oops. We've got a little bit of a lag here, but it's a buffet style setting with the ability to also order from the menu. There will be dine-in service with a 200-seat dining room as well as carry-out, including delivery. There's also an arcade, which is called a fun zone, and the party rooms with 40-seat capacity. The building itself is approximately 8,000 square feet, and then we've got parking that surrounds it on 3 sides. The access to the project is actually through shared access easements from the adjacent properties, one, the Econo Lodge, and 2, the La Quinta property. If you'll recall, the materials that are proposed for the construction are, due to its ranch-style feel, it is brown tones or earth tones. And so at the direction of the board, and if you'll recall, the original design had a minimal amount of stone on the front elevation. The PZC, when they reviewed and had their public hearing, did request some enhanced architecture and additional stone. So the applicant has come back with adding stone, not only on the front facade, but also on the south facade, which will also have some additional signage. As I noted last time, the sign package is not part of this approval. They will actually come forward with a subsequent approval if it does not meet the code requirements for a request for a variance. And so as you can see, there's now been a stone veneer added to the columns. There's also been a wainscot added on these 2 sides of the building. However, the other sides that don't have signage do not have the stone. And originally, the only stone that was proposed was actually on the front elevation, as you see in the bottom image here. We do have the owner here tonight if there are questions, and I'm happy to answer them as well.
Comments, questions, or discussion amongst the board?
I have one question, and it has to do with the arcade. Is the arcade open 24 hours, or is there hours of operation for it, being that it's for patrons only?
So it's for patrons only, but it's also for use by the party room. So if somebody were to book a party, then they would have access to the arcade. As I understand it, the hours are going to be limited to the hours of operation of the restaurant, but we can certainly ask for clarification.
Maybe 10 or 11 is the party, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, and these are regular hours at 9 o'clock, 9 to 9, 8 morning start and 9 o'clock.
Okay, so for those that didn't hear that, the hours would generally be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the restaurant, but on an occasion, there may be a party that could possibly go to 10 or 11 at night.
But it's only for patrons?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing any, I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance granting a conditional use to operate a restaurant at 19735 Northeast Frontage Road, Village of Shorewood, Pizza Ranch Restaurant.
Second. Second.
Motion Brockman, second Kirkland. Roll call, please.
Lambert,
Yes.
Piano, Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland.
Motion carries. 4, consideration for an approval of an ordinance amending Title 10, Chapter 10 of the Shorewood Village Code regarding sign regulations. This is up for a first read. Trustee Brockman, Director Chrissy.
Thank you again, Mayor. I'll be brief, and hopefully you will too, Kelly, because we took about an hour to go through this package, and hope everybody had a chance to go through it, because there is a lot of stuff in here. And maybe Kelly, you can touch on a few of the major points.
Yes, thank you. I will be brief. I am really just going to summarize, but I'm happy to answer any questions. So for those of you that are not familiar, the sign code was last updated, and its last major update was in 2003. And before then, it was back in, I believe, the 90s. So there haven't been many amendments to the sign ordinance, but the goal of the amendment is to address existing issues that we have discovered, more fairly allocate signage between businesses and uses, improve the readability and use or access of the code, and then modernize regulations. We do, however, recognize that this is not the last time that we will be taking a look at the code. We will be evaluating it as we have time, and once the comprehensive plan is adopted, then that'll actually call for us to comprehensively review all of our zoning regulations to ensure that they're consistent with the vision that's laid out in that plan. But to quickly summarize, as we do with all text amendments, we looked at definitions. We've added definitions for, items that weren't clarified before or that weren't defined. We then deleted other definitions. We've updated definitions based on modernized practices, and then we've added graphics where they were applicable. With regard to the prohibited signs, there was already a prohibition on what's called festoon lighting, which is the exposed bare bulb illumination. We've just simply made it so that that type of lighting is allowed for outdoor dining areas, as that is a typical use of those. We've also added a prohibition on the linear lighting or the rope lighting that you see in the lower right-hand corner. And then we've allowed for raceways that currently already exist in some shopping centers. It would be specifically for multi-tenant properties. And those have been previously approved via PUD approvals. So we would allow them on raceways with multi-tenant buildings because there is a higher rate of turnover. And this actually helps to kind of keep the building facade a little more clean. In terms of the organization, there was a lot of duplication in there because the regulations were restated within each zoning district. And so what we've done is we've compiled these regulations into a tabular format so that we didn't duplicate, and it was more easy to find the applicable regulation for the particular use and zoning district. And so with regard to that same section, we did make some changes where we did clarify where the sign may be located on a building, where it does need to be over the space that is occupied by that tenant. The commercial zoning districts, we applied the same sign calculation area calculation regardless of the occupancy. So right now, the single tenant buildings are allowed a maximum of 60 square feet, whereas multi-tenant, it's based on the frontage. We simplified that and said it's all based on frontage. Then we've also allowed for a second wall sign for the properties that have additional street frontage and those that back up onto a shopping center, for example, so they can have a second sign, although a smaller sign, on the back of their property to identify it from the shopping center. And then we also tried to create a greater, improve the proportionality of signage for the large-scale industrial buildings. So those buildings over 100,000 square feet would be allowed greater signage than the smaller industrial buildings. We've also made some modifications to freestanding signs to allow a second sign on large properties, which would be greater than 500 feet of frontage. And those are typically those like shopping centers, for example. So the Target Shopping Center already has 2 signs on Route 59. And so this would just allow it through the code as opposed to requiring a PUD amendment or a PUD. And then we've also revised the landscaping requirements to reference the plant units, which we already use in another, for the general landscaping regulations in the zoning code. So we did that to be consistent and to also provide some greater flexibility for some of those sites that may not have the specific area necessary. And then finally, the electronic message board signs, we've talked about this multiple times by approving PUD amendments as well as variances to allow these. So what we've done is we've incorporated that criteria right into the code to be able to allow it as part of our sign code. And then the temporary signs, we did clean this up a bit. We have now included in the classification of temporary signs, construction and grand opening signage. We did have a problem where our construction signage limited the text on the sign, and that's actually not in keeping with the term is escaping me, but ultimately we are trying to ensure that we are in compliance with case law as well as state and federal law with regard to freedom of speech and not having content-based restrictions. So as a result, we have eliminated grand opening signage as being a separate classification, and that falls under temporary signage now as well. And the grand opening inflatables were permitted only in conjunction with grand openings. And so as a result of that content-based restriction, we eliminated that from the code entirely to ensure that we're meeting the case law requirements. However, in the event that a business does want to have some specialized signage, the board does have the authority to approve special circumstances for temporary signage, such as we did for the Marshall's opening. We did approve a separate sign approval there. In terms of the number of times that temporary signs are permitted, we kept the same number of times per year, but we eliminated the restriction on time of year. So ultimately, previously, we would allow 2 temporary sign permits from January to June and 2 more between July and December. And due to seasonality of some businesses, we decided to eliminate that restriction. We also then allowed a temporary sign, 1 temporary sign per frontage, which could be a wall sign or freestanding, to be able to increase visibility for businesses that have multiple frontages. And as Trustee Brockman indicated, the PZC did recommend approval, subject to the review of the village attorney, which he has done, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Kelly, I have one. What triggered this whole assignment? Okay, or whatever.
Yes, so there have been a couple issues that had come up in the past. The first was the Rhino baseball construction sign that wouldn't permit them to put the name of the facility on the sign. There have been some other sign permits that we've been unable to approve. And most recently, we had a business that wanted to do a face change, and we unfortunately, they wanted to go a little bit bigger, and we couldn't approve it, but it was on a large industrial building. And given the size of the sign on the large industrial building, it didn't seem to make a lot of sense because we didn't have, it wasn't proportional to the size of the building. And so that, coupled with a number of other challenges that we've had in terms of administering the code, we actually started off with just a couple items, and as we kept going through it, we realized that there's a number of things that we could do to make it easier for administration and also easier for businesses to get what they need.
Yeah, and I just wanted to congratulate you for getting this done. I hope the board, thinks about it, goes along with it. Okay. but other than that, we got almost half of planning and zoning. I really appreciate you guys getting this done. It's a long time coming. Okay? Our sign ordinance has been so archaic since we put them into place that this has been a long time coming, so it's appreciated up here. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
What's the pleasure of the board? This is a first read. We only
Correct.
got this Friday for the rest of the board, so you want to wait for a second read on that then? Or go ahead.
I, for one, would like to, it's very lengthy and very detailed. You did a great job, but I would like to review it and bring it up at, have a second read.
Not a problem. Let's keep it as a first read. We'll bring it back in 2 weeks for final approval.
Thank you, Kelly.
Moving forward, business item number 5, consideration for approval of a change order number 1 with Integral Construction for Scenes Four Seasons Park Pickleball, Tennis, Basketball Courts refurbishment project for installation of construction safety fencing in the amount of $2,976. Public Works Director Noriega.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. The construction has, for our Seniors Four Seasons Park pickleball, basketball, and the tennis courts, of course, has started. And a small oversight on the contract documents and an oversight on my end that I did not include construction fencing. That park is very well used. Every open space is used. Even during the construction, they were using in and around too close to the construction and inside the construction area. So to help secure the site, recommended the approval of the construction fencing around the site for $2,976, which will bring the contract price to $279,277. It's a change order of about 1.1%. Do you have any questions?
Noriel, when they do the basketball court, are they going to require fencing there also?
No, there's no trip hazards, but they'll probably want to secure the area around it with maybe just snow fencing to keep the patrons from, allowing the paint to
There
dry.
going to be an extra charge for that also?
I hope not. No.
Army?
No, sir.
Then one other thing, just if you can explain,
Yes.
I know you read the amount that it's costing, the additional, but when you look at the second page of the paperwork we have, there's other additional charges. Can you just run real quickly what those other charges are for?
Liability insurance, the performance and payment bond, that's part of the overall contract amount. That includes as part of the scope of work that is required by the contract.
When we pay liability insurance, doesn't our normal coverage from the village cover that?
I don't know, sir, but I'd have to look into it.
I believe this is coverage that the contractor has for the scope of work that they're responsible for, which is separate from the type of coverage that we have for our facilities in general. So because of, I believe, the increase in the cost for the total contract is resulting in the need for additional coverage of insurance, and that's the reason for that increase. So they need to provide their own insurance as the contractor.
So we have to pay for their insurance, is that what you're saying?
That's a part of the cost because of the need to increase the scope of work by adding the fencing, yes.
Okay. The general requirements, what is that?
It's,
You mean the contract, the AI general?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, you mean the AIA general conditions or general?
I'm just curious what these extra charges are for, specifically what they're for. We may have had these before, I may have never noticed it, but I just happened to notice on this one.
under most circumstances, under a contract, you have the subcontractor, the fencing company providing a price. There usually is a 10% overhead charge because a general contractor, through their own contract, has to be able to organize that as part of the contract. So that's part of that 6.5% and the 3.2% and that 1%. There's the 10% overhead charge.
And then this is typical of all contracts, or this specific contract?
It's typical for most contracts.
Okay.
It's in the AIA general contract that you have to, pay a percentage based on change orders.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I move to approve a change order number 1 with Integral Construction for Seniors Four Seasons Park Pickleball, Tennis, Basketball Courts Refurbishment Project for installation of construction safety fencing in the amount of $2,976.
Motion Kirkland, second Carroll. Roll call, please.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Business item number 6, consideration for an approval of the annual appropriation ordinance for the Village of Shorewood, Will County, Illinois, for the fiscal year beginning April 1, 2021, ending March 31st, 2022. This is a first read. Finance Director Burkholder.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first read of our annual appropriations ordinance. This does serve as our legal spending authority for the village. We do still operate within the confines of the budget. That's our spending guide. However, we are required to file this with the county before the end of the first quarter. The appropriation amounts represent a 25% increase over the budget amounts to account for anything we're not able to predict at this time, although that would certainly require board approval before anything like that could occur. We are not able to take action on this tonight, as we do need a public hearing before we can approve that, so we'll continue this at our first meeting in June. I would be happy to take any questions you may have at this time.
Any questions or comments?
Maybe you mentioned it, but what's the total amount of the appropriation for the record?
Oh, yeah. $54,110,854.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. It remains a first read. Moving on to item number 7, consideration for an approval of an engagement letter with Spear Financial regarding a new public works facility. Director Burkholder.
Thank you again. This and the next item represent the first steps in our process to issue debt for our new unified public works facility. The first item here is our engagement with Spear Financial. They will serve as our financial advisors. We selected them about a year and a half ago to be the village's ongoing financial advisor, but this specific debt issuance requires an independent engagement letter. They will guide us through the process of issuing that debt, getting our rating, going out to market, and making sure we have the right size debt offering, and we're meeting all of our legal requirements to complete that process. I'd be happy to take any questions you might have.
I'd like to make the motion for approval of an engagement letter with Spear Financial regarding a new public works facility. Second.
Motion Lambert, second Kirkland. Roll call, please.
Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
Motion carries. Business item number 8, consideration for approval of an engagement letter with S&P Financial regarding a bond rating. Again, Director Burkholder.
Again, thank you, Mayor. This will be the first piece of the process that Spear guides us through. This is our bond rating. The bond rating will determine the rates we're able to get at market for our new debt issuance. Our rating is currently a AA+, which is that last tier below AAA. It was last affirmed in 2014. There is a cost associated with the bond rating, which I believe is $18,500. We'll pay that at the time of bond closing. When we say, yes, we're ready, S&P will begin collecting financial information from the village. They look at a large number of factors, some of which we have more control over than others. Some of it is regional and economical, some of it is internal in what we've done in town. They will give us the questions in advance, and they will schedule a phone call where we will have a meeting about an hour and a half, where they go into depth on items of concern. They take that information, and they complete their analysis, and they return to us a bond rating. I'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments?
Kind of expensive to do business here. Spears wants, what, like 23,000?
Yep,
And they want 18.5 just to get a bond rating.
yep,
Expensive to do business.
it sure is.
Is that a typical fee for
Ye-
that?
Yes, yes.
I'd like to make the motion to approve an engagement letter with S&P Financial regarding a bond rating.
Second.
Motion Lambert, second Carroll. Roll call, please.
Chapman,
Yes.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes?
Luciano,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Carroll.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move into our next section of our agenda will be reports. First item up would be Public Works Director Noriega. A little briefing on Public Works items.
Thank you, Mayor. So for the last few weeks, Public Works has been busy, weather's good. We have completed the mosquito larvicide, where we have put in the larvicide in each of our storm structures throughout the entire village. They started on our north side, worked their way all the way through the south side. We completed the fire hydrant flushing program this year. We do that twice a year. Not too many complaints that we've heard on our end, but we did complete it, and everything went well. There was a main break that we also repaired at the 1100 block of Colonnade. No disruption to service to the homeowners. We were able to repair it on the fly. Water tower, Black Road, it's clean. We just washed it. Looks nice and pretty out there. The Fields lift station pumps, we notified you that both our River Road and our Fields lift station earlier this year was experiencing pump failures. The pumps for the Fields came in and they were now installed, and we are now back in business without any concerns over at the Fields lift station. And the Public Works has been working diligently over at our police department with the parking lot repairs and the expansion on the west side of the building. That's approximately 90% complete. We're just waiting for the asphalt install for the 2 new parking spaces. Seni's Four Seasons pickleball. It's approximately 30% complete. The stone base, the hard asphalt has been removed. The stone bases have been compacted. Contractors working on the fence posts, chain link fence installation, and that's ongoing. We expect the contract to be completed on time. Black Shorewood traffic signal, that's approximately 55% complete. The roadway widening on the north leg of Shorewood Drive is completed. Contractor is currently installing the foundations and the wiring for the traffic signal. Also on schedule. And then you'll be seeing in the near future the MFT contract, the low bidder, appears to be PT Farrell. Engineering firm is reviewing the bids and will be presenting an award shortly at the next village board meeting. Next week, crack sealing. So for the next 3 weeks, Public Works will be busy crack sealing throughout the entire village, including Village Hall and PD in preparation of seal coating contracts. Any questions?
Joliet's got 2 very large pumps at the Bronx Road lift station, you know.
We saw that too, but they have not notified our office of what's going on yet.
Not affecting us evidently, so.
Not yet.
Any other questions for Director Noriega? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next committee would be Trustee Brockman for Planning and Zoning.
Thank you again, Mayor. Besides the 2 agenda items we had on the docket tonight, or was it 3? I think it's 2 at least. We also had a presentation by the administrator the strategic plan for the village, did a fine job with that, and that went over real well. And did not put the date down for the next meeting. It's the first Wednesday. What was that? Be the 6th, I think,
Of June?
June. Kelly, do you know offhand what date? Second, I was close. Anyway,
June 2.
2nd, next meeting, and too early for an agenda, and want to thank again the three that came up tonight and presented, and I'm proud of all my commissioners, but I want to thank you for serving another 2 years, so appreciate it. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Kirkland, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. Our spring community scavenger hunt is ongoing. Flash missions are still available to be completed to celebrate Earth Day and Arbor Day. New missions are added every Friday. It's free to join, and you have a chance to win prizes. Visit the village website for more information. The hunt ends on March 19th. Tickets are still available for the drive-in movie on Saturday, which is Frozen 2. The cost is $5 per car. Toy Story 4 is on Friday, but that one is unfortunately sold out for those that want to go, but good for us that it's sold out. So, Spring Things activity bags are still available. Register on Village of Shorewood's online registration system. Each bag is filled with fun crafts and activities to put together with your kids. Visit our website for more information. We're going to have a Memorial Day ceremony May 31st at 9 a.m. This ceremony will be out here at our Veterans Memorial, located at Town Center Park near Village Hall. Join us in remembrance of those who have secured our freedom. And be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Village Facebook, Instagram, and Constant Contact for Village updates and news about special events and programmings, especially now because things are starting to open up, so we're hoping to start offering some more stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee Luciano, Citizens Advisory.
The Citizens Advisory Committee will be meeting May 27th in the Village Hall, second floor at the Village Boardroom. This will be the last meeting before the spring break, or the summer break, I'm sorry, and we'll be returning with meetings back in September. At this meeting, we're going to have a presentation made by the new chamber, Plainfield and Shorewood Chamber, and anyone's welcome to attend that meeting if they have any questions about it or would like to know more about the chamber. Also, anyone interested in becoming involved with the Citizens Advisory Committee, you can contact myself or any of the board members on the village website. All our information is there. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. That will conclude our report section. We're going to move into executive session to discuss the purchase and sale of land, personnel to consider the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees. And with that being said, we will adjourn from executive. There will be no business afterwards. Thank you. And we are going to move. Yep. So we need a motion to go into executive, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Luciano, second by Kirkland. Roll call, please.
Kirkland,
Yes.
Lambert,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Brockman, Carroll,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move into executive session. We are going to meet in the large conference room across the hall, please.